Hey everybody, it's Tony Rubleski. Welcome to Don't Quit, Do It Now YouTube channel. We're going to talk about this thing called kindness and gratitude. To me, gratitude is a very, very powerful attitude, and it calms down a lot of things. It solves a lot of problems. More importantly, it's something that doesn't cost anything. It's not 7 steps to gratitude. I'll give you a few ideas to appreciate life more, but I want to pull from my latest book, which this podcast is and YouTube channel is named after, Don't Quit, Do It, from lesson 21, in a quote from the great Eckhart Tolle. Here's what he says. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. And I couldn't agree with him more. I love a lot of his work, The Power of Now, studied a lot of his different podcasts, and he's very good at getting to rethink things, to calm that brain down that we have, that brilliant mind. Sometimes it's sped up and it won't stop. Okay. So gratitude is also a great way to reset. But I want to start out with sharing really 3 things in this episode. And again, love to hear your comments below. Name one of the favorites as we go through this. What was your favorite topic that we covered in relation to the attitude of gratitude? And really the first one is this is life's not perfect. And I think in the sped up digital world that we're in, that things are going to happen. And sometimes to take a time out as adults, I think is extremely warranted and very relevant so that we don't go in a downward spiral where we have a bad email. We have one of our kids is driving us crazy. A parent dies, a business partner does something, you do something dumb. That's called being human. That what do you do to say, stop? I need to pause and reflect here a minute of what's going good still. What am I grateful for? And I've heard it from many speakers, from Tony Robbins down the line, that it's almost impossible to be angry when you're full of gratitude. So I'm going to give you a few of my favorites, all right? So first off, number one, I'm a big believer in writing things down. Maybe it's because I'm a writer. You see a stack of books here, okay? I write, I journal constantly, so I'm a little bit leaning towards that direction anyway. But I want you to think, this is a pen. This is paper. And I often joke with my live audience, particularly those that are under the age of 30. And my kids are all like, Dad, knock it off. They're all in their 20s. But this is a pen and paper. And why I have people write down and encourage them to do gratitude lists? When you write something down, it subconsciously and kinetically, energetically anchors in deeper. So I have a gratitude journal. It's in my bag. Every day I write down what I'm grateful for. I write down a couple of things in relation to my journey as far as being a former compulsive gambler, how many days without a bet. There's a couple of scriptures from the Bible, which is my faith walk, that I write down to remind me of to set that day and that intention that it's going to be okay. So life's not perfect. Gratitude to me is the perfect low cost but extremely potent way to reset your mind and your energy about this will pass. This too shall pass. Second thing about gratitude, it helps you to deal with adversity. I want to give you a quick true story here. A couple years back, I finally landed my first TEDx talk. It took me 10 years to get it. I applied from TEDx Seattle to TEDx Idaho to TEDx Detroit, all points in between over about a 10-year period. I kept getting the email. It was like, no, sorry, Tony, you didn't get a TEDx talk. And it could have defeated me. I thought, all right, not the right time. Like in baseball, I got to get back in the batter's box and keep swinging. So in October of 2024, I gave that talk. But the year before, I think to me was the linchpin moment where I said, we're getting close. I applied for TEDx Detroit, and they had roughly about 300 applicants. I had a really, I thought, timely topic, and I didn't get it. I think there was like 8 spots for that TEDx that year in Detroit. And I followed up with a phone call to one of the gentlemen that was on the board. His name is Terry. And I didn't say, hey, what do I need to do? Why didn't you pick me? I wasn't whining. I thought, how do I learn from maybe what went well, or did they even recognize my application? And he said to me, paraphrasing, Tony, there was a lot of people that applied, but one thing that did stand out with our committee was the title of your talk. And I grabbed my pen. I said, all right, tell me. The title of the talk that I applied for was How Gambling Saved My Life. I'm a former compulsive gambler, one day at a time, okay? It's 8.5, coming up on 9 years without a bet. I thank God every day, my higher power, my late sponsor, Dennis, in my circle called my GA brothers and sisters, to stay sober all these years. But I didn't think, that topic, how gambling saved my life, I'd ever give that talk a few years ago. It was too embarrassing. The shame, the guilt, the hurt that I had caused, the people that granted me amends and forgiveness was amazing. But for years, I didn't want to talk about that, especially given a TEDx talk to the world. I thought it'd be on some of my other books about positive disruption or about how to stand out or get attention in a short attention span world. But no, in my faith walk, God said, hold my beer, Tony. You're going to give a talk that you never thought you'd give on one of your darkest moments. And I mention that because gratitude, dealing with adversity, what was my lowest point became, as the title of the talk said, how gambling saved my life. One of the best moments ever years later. Okay. It renewed my faith walk with my belief in Christ. I got saved. I quit gambling. It changed who I was. I started to adjust reality more as a functioning human versus running from reality for many years and not processing painful emotions. So I'm grateful, like the title said, the TEDx talk was the opportunity to share that. And also what I learned in the dark days of that. It sucked when you're starting over and you're kicked out of your house and everyone's mad at you and you feel like a complete loser. But one day at a time, things pass. You get stronger. You do heal if you choose to. And you decide that that is my past, not a place of permanent residence, but a place of instruction, of wisdom now, all these years later. So the adversity of that, I'm grateful. And ironically, one of my most difficult talks ever, which was recorded, TEDx, was about my most difficult point in my life, being a former compulsive gambler. All right. The third reason to talk about gratitude is what you focus on, you get. You either get more worry, fear, doubt, or you get more gratitude, more happiness, more joy. And I want to share a quote from Anthony Hopkins here out of Don't Quit, Do It on page 95. He said, experience that most brutal of teachers, but you learn. My God, do you learn? So you probably know Anthony Hopkins, very famous actor, ironically, Silence of the Lambs about a serial killer. That's how most people know Anthony Hopkins. But also something interesting, a side note, he's been over 30 years now clean from alcohol. He goes to AA meetings. Sometimes he'll pop in. So he has been through the hell of addiction and come out of it all these years sober, stronger, and very wise for that experience of change in his life and his direction. So again, to me, gratitude is a powerful attitude. And the t-shirt here, thank you for being kind. It's funny when I wear this, the reaction I get sometimes strange looks. I was on the boardwalk here about 3 days ago outside the studio. I wore it with my son, and a group of young gentlemen, probably 10 or 15, probably late teens, walked up. A guy goes, hey, fist bump, I love your shirt, man. I thought, cool. And to me, this YouTube channel, we're going to push the barriers about mindset more to the positive and empower people, not get them all riled up and I'm a victim and I'm mad at this person and then the system's conned me and God left me behind. No, we're going to present the positive viewpoint. We're going to ramp that baby up and talk about success stories. We're going to talk about valleys too. But what do you learn from the valleys of adversity? And how do you come out on the other side being very, very grateful so you wake up and say, you know what? Hey, it's a great day to be alive. It's good to be nice to people. And man, I have a lot of blessings. So until next episode, drop a comment below. Let me know which of the three you liked. If you say, hey, Tony, I want more, make a maybe YouTube channel episode about that. We can dive deeper. But again, I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.